Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So happy to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. I apologize for our bit of a delay. We had a few little technical issues that had to be worked out. But here we are. So happy that you can be with us. My name is Nicholas Viselli. I am the artistic director of Theater Breaking Through Barriers, and I want to welcome all of you to Theater Breaking Through Barriers' fifth virtual intensive, or VPI 5. Time capsule. I apologize again for this. The funny thing about the Zoom thing is there's always something, all these little gremlins that are sort of, eating away and taking up our precious time. But I hope that you've been watching. I hope that you have been enjoying our work. And I don't really want to say anymore because I want to dive into this one. This upcoming play is a really, again, such a beautiful piece, and I hope that you will enjoy it. It was written by one of my favorite playwrights, Jeff Tabnick. The play is called Blanket Time, a Love Story. It was directed by AhDream Smith, and we have a beautiful cast: Fareeda, Ahmed, Melissa Jennifer Gonzalez, Lori Brown Niang, and Heba Toulan. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful audio describer, Anne-Marie Morelli. Take it away, Anne-Marie.
Thank you, Nick. I am Anne-Marie Morelli. I will be providing any audio description that is necessary for tonight's play. I do want to remind you all again that during our virtual Playmakers Intensive, our stage is your computer screen. So currently, the stage is dark. When the play begins, each character will appear in their own separate box on your screen. Tonight's play, Blanket Time, a Love Story, was written by Jeff Tabnick and directed by AhDream Smith. It features Heba Toulan as Layla, a 30-something young woman with brown shoulder-length wavy hair pulled back in a ponytail. She has light skin and brown eyes. She uses American Sign Language and is wearing a black top. Taylor Flanagan will be off screen and serve as Layla's voice. And also unseen is Devin Frank assisting with the ASL. Lori Brown Niang as Pauline, a middle-aged woman. She has honey-colored skin and dark almond-shaped sparkling eyes. Her natural Afro-textured shoulder-length hair is pulled up with a multicolored scarf headband to show off her high cheekbones. She is wearing a black top. Melissa Jennifer Gonzalez as Sophie, a 30-something young woman with two-toned hair. It's mid-length and it's pink and blue. She has fair skin and brown eyes, and she is wearing a black top. Fareeda Ahmed is Amina, a 30-something young woman with long dark hair that falls past her shoulders and dark brown eyes. She is wearing a black top. For the first half of the play, Amina will not be seen, but she will speak only through voiceover. And now, Blanket Time, a Love Story. In the darkness, we hear Amina in voiceover.
I imagine Layla in the moments before I met her.
In a Zoom box, Layla. Under a blanket, in a mask, upset, holding a newspaper.
Distraught, taking refuge in her blanket. Mask on, but not because of COVID, because of the smell. Holding that newspaper, all of those articles that would come to define our lives in her beautiful hands.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Everything's gonna be okay. Everything's okay. I'm just going to read this newspaper to distract myself and stay under this blanket forever. I didn't realize how much space is under this blanket. Translucent, like a canopy of leaves in the midday sun. Comfortable, like a depression. Heavy, like being high. I think I bought this blanket at Pottery Barn.
In another Zoom box, Pauline crawls under the same blanket. She's more overwhelmed than upset.
I remember myself. There I am, across the country, taking refuge in my blanket.
Everything's gonna be all right. Just gonna stay under this blanket till I catch my breath.
I remember when I saw her.
Who are you?
I remember when she saw me.
Who are you?
Somehow, we were under the same blanket.
How did you get in my house? How did you get under my blanket?
I'm not under your blanket. I'm under my blanket in my house.
I'm in Texas.
I'm in New York.
We're under one enormous blanket.
I bought it at Pottery Barn.
Same. Do you think this blanket is big enough to hide forever?
Forever. I only came under here for a moment.
Pauline starts to make her way out from under the blanket.
Don't go. My dog died. I have no one else to talk to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I started to feel the bumps under his skin last month.
That's so sudden.
I almost brought his body under here with me, but then I'd be the type of person that brings a dead dog under a blanket, and you don't come back from that.
You're funny.
I'm serious.
I can tell.
You're a good listener.
You're a good talker.
I have this mask on because of the smell.
Where is your dog's body?
Right outside the blanket.
Ooh, ooh, you need to bury that dog.
Will you explore the blanket with me?
I have to go back.
Please?
What if we get lost?
I'll leave a trail.
Of what?
Newspaper articles.
Didn't you want to read that newspaper?
No, I hate the news.
Pauline watches as Layla rips up the newspaper.
You have nice hands.
I'm Layla.
I'm Pauline. I can explore for 5 minutes.
But we crawled for hours, exploring our shared subterranean underworld, Layla leaving a trail of newspaper articles behind us. She talked a lot about her dog.
He's a boy. But I couldn't get used to his penis, just hanging there all day. So I made him pants. This is why people don't like me. I talk about dog penises.
Like you?
I remember us deep in our blanket together, falling in love. I remember Layla taking off her mask, inhaling deeply. I remember us talking for days about nothing but the threads above.
I think they're thicker in this direction.
And darker.
I know the changes are subtle, but I find the monotony comforting.
Hmm. Our physical selves are different under this blanket somehow, less present.
What if you don't like me in the real world? What if you only like me when I'm crouching? What if I stand like a weirdo?
Well, standing is my most attractive posture.
I'm sure it is.
Well, everything is all stretched out. Nothing is like bunched up.
I'm sure you're great at standing.
Why haven't you asked me why I hid under this blanket?
Being considerate is not my strongest point.
Then what is?
Charm?
Pauline shakes her head.
Ask me about myself.
How are you?
Overwhelmed? I'm the national organizing director for an advocacy group called Invincible.
That sounds important.
We're fighting interlocking existential catastrophes out there. A rigged democracy, a global pandemic that feeds on the poor, an escalating climate crisis. My days are spent finding people who can help our causes, and my nights are just spent finding money to keep our organization running. We have such a small window to fix our world before Republicans control the Senate, before whatever Trump stirred up out there raises his ugly, violent head again, before our environment is in ruins.
Pauline, don't you see? You don't need to worry about any of that anymore. You can just stay under here with me.
And I was tempted to stay with this beautiful woman. But just then, there was a ripple in the blanket, and one of the articles fluttered, and I read it.
The Republican Party is gerrymandering to ensure permanent one-party rule. Layla, I have to go. I've been under here way too long.
It's painful to remember the next part, me scrambling to get out of the blanket, following the trail of terrible news. I was more frantic with every passing article.
Coronavirus variants are causing severe infections in children. The western half of the United States is in a prolonged drought of historic proportions. The GOP is openly against democracy.
Stop! Pauline, stop! None of these articles are real.
Layla throws the articles in the air.
How can you say that? Of course they're real.
I'm real. The person in front of you is real. What you and I have is real.
No, it's just comfortable.
This under here is about our essence.
It's about escape.
You want to be under here with me.
Do you know who gets to do what they want?
Who?
Sociopaths.
So be a sociopath.
We're on a precipice out there.
Because people are assholes. And they'll always be assholes.
Well, I am not an asshole.
No, you're not.
Come with me.
What if when we leave the blanket, we end up in different places, different worlds?
World from your newspaper looks a lot like my world.
I don't know if I want that world.
You need to face your reality, Layla. Bury your damn dog. Come find me in New York.
Pauline exits the blanket.
No.
I imagine that after I left the blanket, Layla stayed alone. And then smelled that dog and put her mask back on and cried. But then I like to think she pulled off her blanket and confronted the carcass in her bedroom.
Layla takes the blanket off. We briefly see her empty room before Layla's Zoom box flickers off. We now see Amina in a Zoom box. Amina is under a blanket where she's been sitting very still for a very long time.
I've had many lifetimes since the day that I left Layla, since the day I left the blanket. Many births, many deaths. And in each and every one of my lives, the blanket found me. The blanket called to me, sat on my couch, sat at the foot of my bed, hung in the tree outside my window like a temptation. And in each lifetime, I avoided the blanket, threw it in the closet, in the trash. There was always so much work to be done in the real world. But now, in this current life, after lifetimes of hard work and pain, I feel like I've earned some time to sit still.
What happened?
So here I am, finally back under the blanket.
Am I back?
And I wonder if Layla will come find me.
Am I back?
I wonder what her name is in this life. I wonder if the blanket called for
You see
her
my
the way
cursor
it
right by
kept
yours?
calling for me. No, I think for her, the search was harder. I imagine her spending lifetimes looking for me, maybe searching for the right blanket, putting blankets on, pulling them off.
Sophie pops up in a separate screen. She's trying out different blankets, putting them on top of herself and yelling to
No.
someone off camera.
No, none of these blankets are right. Mom, I'm telling you, I need more blankets. I don't care how many we've been through. Yeah, I know, I'm stubborn. Yeah. Wait, I forgot to try on that Pottery Barn blanket that we got. Hold on.
Sophie crawls under the blanket.
All of those news articles are still there under the blanket waiting for her. Relics of another time, no longer in a straight line but scattered. And so even after she finds the right blanket, years might pass as she searches this great expanse for me. Until one day, today.
Sophie sees Amina.
Pauline?
Amina sees Sophie.
My name is Amina now. Layla?
In this lifetime, my name is Sophie. How are you?
That's very considerate of you to ask.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm still really good at standing.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Did you ever bury your dog?
A long time ago, I did. But then in a vengeful rage, I buried all the dogs. No. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I went on being me, which, it's a mixed bag. I looked for you in the real world. In every lifetime, I looked for you. I, I I even made eye contact with hundreds of thousands of people. Do you know how hard it is for me to make eye contact? I asked all of those people about themselves, hoping they'd be you. Did you look for me?
Do you mind if I don't answer?
I guess not.
Can I ask you a question?
Anything.
It has nothing to do with you.
Oh, good.
After I left you, how did things turn out in your world?
Are we not in the same world?
I was hoping we weren't. My world became very, very painful.
Oh, then um, things in my world went beautifully.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. So glad. Thank you. Thank you.
End of play.
Wow. I told you it was a poignant play. So beautiful. Thank you guys so much. I'd like to call everyone back, please. There you all are. Lori, Fareeda, Melissa, Heba, Jeff, AhDream. Thank you guys so much. Wow, I don't even know what to say. I really loved this play. The first time I read it, I thought it was such a beautiful piece, and very, very poignant. So Jeff, I want to start with you. Can I ask you what prompted you to write this play? What prompted you to write this play?
Yeah, can I first just say, like, congratulations, guys. I liked it. And I don't always like it, but I liked this. This is really, you guys did a great job. Knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. You know what? I have to say, like, I approached this very pragmatically. I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like, of all the plays I've written, I thought back to, like, oh, when I wrote that zombie play, right? Like, that was very much about, like, wanting some sort of visceral connection to things, and when I wrote the play about the clowns, right? That was very much about, like, being afraid to get back into the world. Like, and the one about where what if you read my plays was about something very personal, but this one I definitely attacked a little differently. Like, I was like, well, what haven't I done yet? I was like, I haven't done a love story yet. And then I was like, well, what would look interesting on Zoom? And I was like, well, it would kind of be cool if everyone was, like, under the same blanket. And then I was like, well, all right, so what sort of person would hide under a blanket? And then it kind of went from there. And then, what else I'll add to that is that I brought in, like, 8 pages to these guys, like, on the first rehearsal, like 8 really rough pages, just to see what resonated and what didn't resonate. And from that discussion, then I really wrote the play. So that was, like, super important.
So the writer's workshop that you were moderating actually helped you to write the play.
Well, yeah, I was super jealous because I wanted to be in a writer's workshop. They all got, a chance, so I was like, I made my own.
No, of course, and that's the best way, I think. I really love the play because it does touch on, it plays with the whole time space thing, which I love. When we decided to call this particular intensive time capsule, I didn't think of it in terms of, that was a prompt, but I think it's sort of, I was looking at it as the whole series that we did this last year. But I love the fact that so many of the plays that we've been seeing over the last, so far 13 nights have sort of really taken that to heart. And I love that. I think it's just really so beautiful. So AhDream, we get to see you directing. what was this play? What was this play like for you? How did they get all the blankets? What tell me the whole story? I mean, because I don't know any of it. I don't know anything. I'm just the artistic director. I don't know anything.
Yeah, no, the blankets were all Jeff's idea, which I'm all for. I actually did a play earlier this year where I was directing it, and it was two twin sisters, but they were in two different locations, and they happened to have the same top. And I was like, great, now we just got to get some other things. So when you pass the props off, it's the exact same. So when Jeff was like, we should get them blankets and they should all be the same, I'm like, yes, someone who's here with me.
Yeah.
So that was his brilliant idea. I just co-signed. But yeah, this was a really great group. They made my job really easy. Everybody always showed up ready to play, bringing in props, bringing in ideas, making choices on the fly. And so for me, it was really like a yes and every rehearsal.
Mm-hmm. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. It does become easier to direct when you have a really great group of artists that you're working with, that really just come in with a lot of ideas and are willing to play. I mean, that's always a great gift. What were we going to say?
I was just something that just came up to my brain as you were speaking. It was like, this play is called Blanket Time, and it's about these two people that really traverse time and space and lifetimes under this blanket. And I'm just thinking about how from ideation to tonight, this cast has kind of done the same thing. Like, we've all been in different time zones, been in different states, but still have managed to, meet for rehearsals. I was in Puerto Rico. Like, this cast, we've traveled, we've been on tour. Okay. So I just thought that was really interesting too, as another layer behind the scenes of this team.
I agree. I think one of the most powerful things for this this medium, one of the things that we've learned is that as is a theme in the play, Jeff, that we can transcend time in this, and we literally do it practically every evening.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we can have people coming from all different parts of the world to meet here, to create something in one place, a common piece of art that then gets shot out to the world all over the place. And people all over the world in different times are watching it right now. And that, to me, is mind-blowing. And while I love live theater, and while we will never give that up, because that's our core, this opportunity to do this is what a wonderful gift it is. And it's something we have to continue to hold on to and develop.
Mm-hmm.
So I am so grateful that we have that opportunity, and we have, at least for this intensive, 14 chances to do that. So now I want to talk to all of the actors, and I don't really have any set questions for you, other than I would love for you to sort of give me your initial impressions of this play when you first read it. And then I'd like for you to talk about how those ideas or impressions changed as you went through your rehearsals. So what, you know what? Fareeda, would you start us, please?
Sure. Fareeda here. My initial impression of the play, we didn't have blankets yet. And I honestly wasn't sure. I got the metaphor and I thought it was interesting. And so I sort of understood it intellectually as this great metaphor. And as we went on in the process, the physical feeling of being under, I don't know if you can tell how soft and cozy this blanket is that was sent to each of us, but that physical sensation of being really cocooned together in a space was at informed, I think, this feeling of only the four of us really understand what it is to kind of be breathing a small amount of air, and the claustrophobic sense of that, and then the comforting sense of that. Somehow Jeff and his brilliance found a way to explore both sides of that metaphor with the pandemic, and it essentially worked its way in with just the addition of this simple prop. And it occurred to me that I will likely never have another theater experience like this. I mean, what performance would I be sitting on a bed with a blanket over me? I mean, it just would never happen. It's so intimate. And so, as you were saying, Nick, it's just such a unique expression of the art to have Zoom as the platform for all of its faults. It affords us some interesting insights.
Yeah, thank you, Fareeda. I agree. You know, and I didn't even think about that, because you realize that, I mean, the blanket is a very important prop, a very important piece in this play. But to actually have the, and you know, while we can get a sense as the audience that you are under a blanket, and that it affects how it affects everything. It affects how we see you. It affects how your voice sounds. And yet at the same time, yeah, I didn't think about it in terms of, since all four of you are under a blanket in different places, that it would still bring you even closer together. That's really wild.
Nick, did you peep my knitted together clothing like blanket?
I love what you're wearing. I find it absolutely adorable. And like, I love it. I just think it looks great.
I wish that I could take some credit for that blanket, but I can't.
I love it. By the way, you need to send the company the bill for those blankets. I don't want you paying for those. So make sure that we work that out at.
Oh, they were so cheap.
Okay, well, whatever. Well, it's part of the expense of this. So please don't. Sorry, audience. I didn't mean to get into that conversation. I forget, you know. It's just the business. So Lori, I want to talk to you now, because this is actually a very different piece from the other works that you've been doing with us as well. Tell me about it. Tell me about what you went through.
Well, this is my third intensive, and I've loved everyone more. I just more and more. But at that very first meeting, I'm always have a nervous thing going on. Who's going to be my writer? Who's going to be my writer? Who's going to be my writer? So when it was Jeff and he was the writer of the very first piece, I was like, okay, I'll be fine. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. I trust him implicitly, right? So then I was like, okay, we're under a blanket. All right. But it's Jeff, so everything's going to be fine. So that was a good thing. And then when he gave us those first 8 pages, and then there was just a couple of things that I didn't get about my character, like, why did she's having this miserable life, but then she falls in love with this person who doesn't really ask her questions about herself. And then Jeff was like, I didn't think of that. And then he just fixed it. And that's one of the beauty things about working with a live playwright. You get to have that input, and then you get to collaborate in a way that's not possible with, you know.
Well, it's also a great thing to like work with Lori again, because I know her and trust her. So when she says to me, hey, I don't think that quite makes sense, like, I know to pay attention to that and fix it, because we've, you know, worked together before.
Mm-hmm. It definitely helps when you have worked together before. You know each other's personalities, you know each other's voice, and it helps to be able to write in that way. But it also is a big deal that you have such a group of very willing participants and people who are willing to collaborate. I know I've said this on several nights, but I say it every night, because it really is the whole beauty of this particular exercise, this intensive that we do is it is useful on so many levels. But for me, to be able to call together a group of people who genuinely love to create and genuinely want to work together. And you have to try to put an ego aside on that one. You know, it can't just be about your needs and what you want. That to me is why this work has been so successful. And whenever we have situations where the other stuff sort of pops in, that's when things start to become very difficult. So I don't know. I don't have much more to say about that other than I feel so very blessed as an artist. My job is easier because of you guys. You're the ones that are making this work. So thank you for that. Heba, I have to talk to you. I am so thrilled that you are working with us. I think you are so incredibly gifted as an artist. And to be able to do this work and to be willing to play, and I know that what we are doing is far from perfect. It's a workshop. We're doing our best. And sometimes we try things that don't work. For example, trying to set up the communications earlier tonight. But tell me what this experience is like for you. What this experience was like for you, working with this group of artists on this particular play.
So yeah, I'd like to say something. Yeah, so this is my first time working in this particular workshop, but my second time working with TBTB. I worked with AhDream on that other show. And this has just been an awesome experience for me. Everyone in the process has been so kind and giving with their time, and not just with me, but with each other. And Nick too. And this script, seeing it evolving, because it was really a collaborative process, not just, the writer and the director, everyone had their input too. So that was a really awesome process. And I am so grateful to be a part of this. I just would love to do it again.
You will. If we would be honored if you would work with us again. I hope that we'll continue to work together. So now I have to ask you, Melissa, and I'm sorry, it's not that I wanted to save you for last, but you've probably of all of the actors in this company, you have the most experience with TBTB, because you've done several of our live intensives. You've worked with Jeff before several times. How is this experience different from the others?
Well, this time we were using props. I for one have been using more props than others. Maybe it was a good opportunity for me to really put myself to the test, whether I can multitask or not this time around. And when it comes to basically that's just that's what differs this production from most. Me using a lot of props, but all in all, it was good. And as far as me and Jeff is concerned, working together, I think he has an obsession with me. Wink. No. I mean, I'm kidding. It's always a pleasure to work with him. always in this surreal tale of his.
Well, good, because you
And
and I,
that's,
apparently, we're going to be doing plays, from now into the old age home.
oh yes. Can't wait. Yeah, but this is a really interesting play. Aside from me using way too many props, which is good. I mean, it just challenges an actor day to day because we are faced with challenges on and off stage. So it was good.
Mhm.
And that's what's so intriguing about this play is not only the usage of props, but also the fact that we get to interact underneath these blankets.
Mhm.
And it is right then and there for which all of the actors have come together. Well, I mean, the characters have come together with this common blanket that is connecting us all in different time periods. But then again, this is a very surreal tale that says something of how we're dealing with the pandemic individually and how we're dealing with life events.
Yeah.
I mean, if that would sum up the whole thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think that this to me is a very rich play because there are so many ways to, I mean, there's so many things to think about in terms of all that we have been through. Um, I just love what the play's about, and I love the timelessness of it. There's certainly a spiritual element to this play, which I also find I'm always very that always appeals to me. There's always a little bell that goes off. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice. That makes me feel really good. But I just, the biggest gift for me, I guess, from my perspective, is just to be able to see the way you all have been able to come together to create this really beautiful work. And I guess I have one more question for you, Jeff, and then I'm going to let you all go and have a few minutes break before we jump onto the next. Were you pleased with what you saw?
Yeah, I was super pleased. I thought these guys all brought it. Yeah, I was very happy. And like I said, I'm not always happy.
It's a tough thing because especially this is a new play, and you always want to try as artists. The play is the most important part. You want to try to honor the play, what the play, and yeah, I found it very moving. I found it to be a really beautiful play, and I just wanted to sort of check in on you. And I know it's a hard question. I'm putting you on the spot in front of everybody when you're happy.
But no, I was moved too. And I think the play allows for some space for the actors to really, to embody the characters and to have an emotional journey. And it leaves them with space to play the roles how they choose to. It's not dictated for them. And I think everybody really ran with it tonight. It was really nice to see. And also it's always stunning to see connection between actors, like real connection over Zoom. It always kind of takes my breath away because it's rare, and when it works, it's just like it worked tonight. It's powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very powerful. I think the fact that everybody is under a blanket and it's already creating this intimacy, it also sort of focuses everyone to look at the artist, at the actor, as opposed to this, like I'm not looking at your backgrounds, I'm looking just at you. And it just draws you in even further. So I think that it's beautiful for that. Well, listen, you guys, I want to talk more about this, but I'm going to hold it for the next talk back in about an hour. So I just want to thank you all again for such beautiful work. Really magnificent. Thank you all. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in here on Saturday night. Are you kidding me? What a beautiful way to spend your Saturday night, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as we did. And I hope maybe if you really enjoyed it, you'll tune in about 8 minutes when we get onto Facebook. So thank you for being a part of our work. Please, again, we have one more night to go, but tell your families, tell your friends, they can watch all of our other work on YouTube and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, friend us on Facebook by all means. And if you really go to our website, tvtv.org. You can check out all things TVTV, see what we're up to, where we've been and where we're going. If you really love our work or really love what we're doing, there's a little donate button at the top of our homepage. If you would like to click that, that would be lovely. No obligation, but certainly if you do decide to donate to us, that becomes a partnership, which we take very seriously. So I hope that you will consider that. But whatever the case, we're just glad that you could be with us tonight. So tomorrow, our final performance, my goodness, we have a really wonderful show by a really wonderful writer, Caroline Aaron. The play is called Downward Dogs. It was directed by Anita Hollander, and it stars Richard Lear and Alyssa H. Chase. So I hope you will tune in 7:30 right here on the Facebook, or on YouTube, and 8:30 on Facebook. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.
Bye.